Welcome to the Temporary Insanity Podcast. Here are your hosts, Joshua Lewis Ferreira, William McCoy, and Sierra Tansey.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Temporary Insanity. I'm your host, Joshua Lewis Pereira, and with me in studio are our two favorite people, Mr. William McCoy and Miss Sierra Rose Tansey. I threw in the Rose today. I'm trying to get you ready for when you open the
I'm not
podcast.
opening with my middle name.
Why? When I open, I'm
Yes.
Joshua Lewis Pereira. You got to open with Miss Sierra Rose Tansey, you know, like kind of like a boxer. Sierra Rose, isn't that what we said last
But you
week?
brand yourself with your middle name. I don't.
It is my brand. I'm trying to sound official here. But we are so excited to have you guys with us this week as we talk episode 24. We're getting there, guys. We're getting close to episode 25. Next week's episode is going to be fun, but this week we go into episode 24 as we talk about the swamp, which to most of you guys we'll call it by its proper name, Washington, D.C.
I think we need to address the people that can see us, the whole us eating dinner situation.
Well,
This is our dinner party episode. So if you're listening to this, either breakfast, lunch, or dinner, get a snack. Join us.
we were reached out to by our union representatives, and I was told that I had to provide better working conditions for.
My mommy yelled at Josh.
So today we have pizza. Otherwise, I was told after our episode last week about the strike that if I didn't improve conditions for our podcasters,
I have beef about this that I need to bring up with Will, actually. Did Josh once mention food last week? He's so convinced he asked us where we wanted to order food from.
listen, I came in on the phone. I was like, hey, let me know what y'all want to eat. And I got back on the phone. Sarah made a TikTok about what was going on.
I didn't post that yet. I don't remember this conversation
I vaguely
happening.
remember him mentioning food.
Or maybe it's just me then. I don't.
I sat down. Then you started talking about soapy flavored.
The goldfish.
I haven't bought goldfish since.
Then you guys tried to like trick me into eating those soapy goldfish. Not once did you guys mention food again. I would have ordered the food. But like, you know, y'all forget. You know, I had gastric bypass, so I don't get hungry. So
I would just like to bring up when we had this conversation, he was like, "Oh, I talked to Will and asked him to find out where he wants to order," and I was like, "Okay, well, this is the problem. You didn't say anything to me."
I said to Will very simply, "Y'all start talking about food." That to me is all I have to say, because y'all talk about food. Y'all are grown, and then.
Well, the
And tell
one
me
you
what you wanna
talked
eat.
to didn't talk to me, so you know
So-
what? I'm not at blame here.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, Nancy took care of the food today.
Nancy.
So, look, y'all are eating food.
When
We got
Nancy-
pizza.
When Nancy showed up, Will said the pizza delivery person is here, and then said the door should be open. I was like, is he just letting this person? It's like, is he just letting this person into his house?
Yes.
That's how trusting William is. I mean,
I also saw her on the ring camera, so I knew it was Nancy.
That's why I was confused.
so, I mean, hopefully now we can. So Michelle, if you're listening, I have improved the conditions of the work environment here at Temporary Insanity Podcast. They are being fed. And so Sierra's happy, right? We're good? Will's happy. Josh is happy.
I say with a gun being held to my head.
Aiden wasn't even gonna come today. Aiden's like, I'm like, Aiden, you coming to the podcast? And he's like, I don't think so. I'm like, all right.
You
Well,
heard
we're
about the
having-"
work conditions. He's like, if I don't have to go, I'm staying home.
Then I'm like, he's like, well, how many episodes you guys doing tonight? Then he starts questioning me, and I'm like, well, we're having dinner tonight. And he's like, well, what are you having for dinner? I'm like, we're having pizza. He's like, well, I guess I can come to the podcast tonight. Like,
So real, even though he's picking every topping off that pizza that he's eating right now. He has just a plate of olives.
I don't like the olives.
Throw them in here, little man. Oh no, not the pineapple.
well, in any case, down to brass tacks. So tonight we talk about Washington. Well, Sierra just got back from a trip to our nation's capital, and so we were talking about topics to discuss today. And I thought, since we've been talking about a few things, and this one can kind of go both ways. We can have some fun with it, talking about the Capitol itself, and
I've been 4 times.
I've
Well,
been
yeah, but-
twice.
yeah. But I figured,
Gotta catch up.
since it's fresh, you have it fresh in the mind.
I don't just put another. I've been to Washington D.C. 4 times.
Yeah. So I mean,
And
so
I might move there one day.
you might move there
Why?
one day.
Not DC, like outskirts.
Okay, all right.
Maryland, maybe.
I'm gonna say in the city for
No,
what?
the livable parts of DC is only apartments. So.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean, even like when I stay in DC, I don't stay in DC. I stay in like Maryland, like at the end of the Potomac. You know, like.
No, I like to stay in DC, stay right in the hood, be
Yeah,
one
yeah.
with the people.
Right in the food.
He said be one with the people. So I figured it would be fun to talk about since you just got back and I figured it would be a fun topic because like we could talk about visiting DC and like the fun stuff, but then of course it's not very hard to go into a rant about DC as well. I mean because it is like part of what we've been going on about for the past few weeks anyway.
Know what my first rant is about DC? They are known for their museums and their attractions, but their museums close at 5 p.m. even on the weekends.
5:30.
But they don't let you in.
Still bad.
And I know because I tried to go into the African American Museum at 4:30, and they told me no.
Was this the really? Joey and Dominic told me a story about this when we were there because we were walking past the African American Museum. They told me a story about how everyone said that you'd go after you had lunch and you were sitting on a bench eating
Waiting.
your lunch, so excited
I
to
wasn't
go
even
in.
hungry.
And then by the time you guys finished your lunch, it was closed.
I went with my brother and his girlfriend and Rachel.
And I was so devastated for you.
I'll
I
let
was
you
just
know-
imagining you sitting on a bench, really.
2 people are hungry, 2 people are not. I'll let you guys make your assumptions on who was hungry. And I
Was
said,
it the
fine.
women?
I'm not gonna say. I can't say that. But you're not. Whatever.
Definitely the women.
All right. So I was like, fine. I'm nice. We'll eat, and we ate some good food. It was food truck good food. So it wasn't bad food.
Those food truck hot dogs in DC, banging.
Well, my thing about DC with what you're saying about the time closings and stuff like that is like, well, it's like, does anybody work? Like, okay, 5:30. But then again, like, also you said apparently not because like you go into DC, it's kind of like the hood, right? I mean,
They're not even open. They open at 10.
Yeah, like 10 to 5. Like
So it's not even like an 8 to 5 situation.
It would be different if it was like us like during the week, sure. Then like Friday and Saturday we'd get most of the tourists like stay open until 8. But no, like 4:30 really you can't come in.
This
Close
isn't
at
even
5:30
really
though.
the museums either, because I remember we left the city at 5 because that's when everything really closes. Restaurants close, corner stores close. All the food trucks are packing up and leaving. The city closes at 5:30.
Well, I remember like so we did DC, and we got to see pretty much all the things that I really wanted to see, but but one of the biggest things that I wanted to see was the Mint. Like I wanted to go see where the money was made, right? And I waited in line, and I waited in line, and I waited in line, and then there's nothing like. I'm going to come back to what I was just about to say in a second. And so I finally get to the front of the line. I am the next person to walk into the Mint. Okay, we are the next group, Nancy and I, and like we are the next people. It was me, Nancy, Jeff, and Michelle to walk into the Mint. And the guy comes out, puts up his hand like this. All right, folks, that's it for today. Come back tomorrow. But this was the last day of our trip, man. Yep. This was the last day of our trip. We were leaving. So I look at him like, sir, we are leaving tomorrow. He's like, that was our last tour for the day, And so the point that I was about to make, I would have rather them canceled me out when I was way in the middle or like 5 feet. But like I don't know about you, but it's like the worst feeling. Like when you're next, like you're actually like the next person. And they're like, I'm sorry, you cut out. Like you're so close and yet so far,
And like all the museums, like Will said, are free, but only like the government Smithsonian museums, and then all of the other ones are just really expensive for no reason.
Yeah.
Like the new Bible Museum, it's $20 a person, which isn't that bad, but like when everything else is free, you're kind of like, oh.
I was thinking about that too. Like and I think if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure when the Holocaust Museum started, they used to charge $2, and then I think now they charge like $1 or something like that.
Well, they I don't know if you went, but when I went earlier this year, You didn't have to pay, but they would take like donations. Like, if you want to give some money.
The Holocaust Museum?
Yeah.
I didn't do any of the tickets and stuff when we went, but my mom said that it was like $1 a person. Like, it's like a donation thing. I actually couldn't stay in the Holocaust Museum because Ethan was being very loud.
Well, that's one of those places where it baffled me. Like, when I went, so we went in November. And so it was like kind of like, it was perfect time to go because it wasn't too hot. It was just the right... It was like just the right season.
It was 100 degrees every single day.
I gave you guys credit because it's like middle of the summertime.
Well, I had gone in January too, and it was so nice. Like I literally we went and I was wearing like a long sleeve t-shirt and like jeans. It was so nice.
Like when we went in November, it was like super comfortable. Like it was still warm enough where you could just, I like jeans and a t-shirt was nice. We were able to walk around. It wasn't crowded, so when we went, but it was also like one of those times where you had like field trips coming, so that was cool. So I remember walking into the Holocaust Museum and I saw like all these kids from buses getting off, and outside the Holocaust Museum, it's like, kids being kids, what you expect. And I'm thinking to myself, and I remember looking and thinking to myself and being like, this is going to be crazy. Like, this is going to be absolutely nuts. These kids walking into the Holocaust Museum and like, they're going to make me nuts, like, because we're going to be packed in there. But what I remember impacted me the most about this Holocaust Museum, when these, like, we all went inside, and it was like we went through this portal. And, like, the minute we walked in the door, like, these loud kids instantly were silenced.
They probably had all the teachers with the rulers.
No, it was crazy.
They probably got a stern talking to on the bus.
It was like this thing, and then we went through. I have never experienced, like, we were packaged in there. Like, it was like shoulder to shoulder. Clearly, this was like pre-COVID. But like, it was like shoulder to shoulder. And the entire time that I was walking through, the presence inside that Holocaust Museum was so heavy as we walked through it. It was, but it was like, there was such a reverence there. There was such a respect. I never thought that I would see so many kids with that much respect. Yeah. Like, you could hear, like people were just whispering and respectful. Like, when I left, and of course, the portal ended. Like, the minute they walked out the door, it was like back to being like chaos. But it was unbelievable. But it affected me, man. Like, when I left that Holocaust Museum, like, especially like walking through the shoes and all that stuff. Like,
they didn't have that this time.
I think your dad was saying they were getting restored.
They were getting restored, so they were all put away. My dad was so pissed off about it. But my first time going to the Holocaust Museum, I was in 8th grade because that was like the 8th grade school trip. It was the first year that Riverside ever did it. And that was my first time, and I'm kind of glad that they got rid of this like exhibit that they had, because they had this, like, it wasn't really an exhibit, it was kind of just someone with a cart. They were sitting there and they had these stones that had like disabled or homosexual or like a bunch of different things on these stones, and then little cards that it said like, oh, well, if you were in Nazi Germany during this time and you were any of these things, you would have died. And I remember grabbing like one that was like, oh, if you were sick, because like obviously I was diabetic, and I was like, oh, well, that's unfortunate for me.
Like, well, I wouldn't have survived in Nazi Germany.
All my friends in middle school were grabbing the ones that said like homosexual on it, and I was like, oh, well, guess I'm a goner.
I remember getting on the elevator, and as we were on the elevator, I'm looking around, like they were packing us onto the elevator, and they're like. And then, like, someone looked at us, one of the people who worked there, and looked at us, and they're like, now imagine being a Jew during this time.
They still do that.
And being packed into the train. And I'm thinking, like, this is horrible.
Well, yeah, for anyone who hasn't been, every single elevator, even, like, the elevators in the back to get back down to the main floor without walking in the exhibit. And I'm pretty sure the elevator in the food court as well, which is a completely different building. But every single elevator in this museum is supposed to replicate, like, the cars that they packed all the Jewish people into to bring them to concentration camps, like those trucks. Terrifying.
Yeah.
I was bringing my baby onto this, like, is he gonna get scared? But yeah, I had to bring Ethan out because he didn't understand the ambiance because he's only a year and a half.
Yeah.
So he was screaming and laughing, and we were like, I feel disrespectful. I'm a leave. And I guess when I left, someone like said, "Oh, about time" to my dad, and my dad got really offended.
I mean, you would think they'd be a little. I mean, it's not like you. If you were the one chuckling, then I'd be like, hey,
But like,
I thought you were telling your baby jokes.
It was fine. Like once we took him out of his stroller and carried him around a little bit, but it was 100 degrees and there was like a ton of people in there, and we just really didn't want to hold him because he's 21 pounds of just heat. But yeah, it was kind of, I texted my parents because Kayla followed me out because she was like, this is sad, I don't want to be here. And I just texted our parents like, hey, we're just in the food court. Good thing we didn't have to pay like $50 to see it. I would have felt so bad.
Well, I mean, but that's also kind of like the awesome thing about Washington in terms of a tourist standpoint. Like, you can pretty much, I mean, almost everything is free. I mean, the Bible Museum, I haven't had the privilege of seeing that yet. It sounds pretty cool. I mean, it's $20. It's probably the most expensive thing you'll see there, but go to the museum, the aviation museum, and all that. I mean, you spend the day. Smithsonian has so many museums there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could there's so much to do. Between the parks, the museums. I mean, Arlington, the grave of the unknown soldier. I mean, that's like the most awesome changing of the guard ceremony. Like it's there's just so much to do.
So on our second day in the city, it was our third day there, second day in the city. That was actually the same time Drake was there, and whoever he was touring with.
Oh yeah.
Whoever he was touring with. So we were walking back to our car from a restaurant, and we just see like 7 tour buses and just a group of people. And my brother's like, I think it's Drake, and we're like, it can't be Drake. And then we see how everyone's dressed, and we're like, okay, it might be Drake. So Dominic is pushing Ethan's stroller at this point, and someone turns around and looks at him and goes, they brought a baby to see Drake.
yeah, he's starting young. What's wrong with that?
You're just missing like the chains and stuff.
It was so funny. I was like, really? He's like, we took a baby to see Drake. Look at how we're dressed. We're all sweating. Like,
yeah, we're clearly here for a concert. Now, since we're all history nerds, the biggest thing for me with Washington is no matter where you look, there's so much historical context. Historical context both through history with like big moments. Also, you see the reflection pool there where Forrest Gump goes to run to Jenny.
Yep. Good movie reference. Have you seen Forrest Gump?
I have seen it, and I regret seeing it because it's not good. Yikes.
I mean...
The look Josh just gave me.
I watched it a couple times, but, I mean... It's not a bad movie, but I wouldn't say it's not good.
I'm speechless. I mean, Bubba Gump Shrimp?
It's just... It's like Titanic, where it's so long that you just lose me, like, halfway through.
But Sierra... Life's lesson is so big in that. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
I do, because every single box of chocolates says what kind of chocolate is on the back of the box.
Well, they probably didn't do it back then.
So, I actually do know what I'm going to get when I eat a box of chocolates. Thank you very much.
Well, but anyways.
You know what other movie also is bad? The Elvis movie. Okay, that is all.
The Elvis movie?
Yeah.
The newer one? I think it's bad. Yeah. I don't know if I can trust your opinion on movies anymore.
I don't like the way it's from the manager's standpoint.
But it should be. Because the manager was the puppeteer of Elvis.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Maybe I just don't like movies with narration.
That's a lot of movies that you're not going to like.
I know.
I thought...
See, to catch everyone else, I think that I have very bad ADHD and just have never been tested for it. I cannot sit and watch movies.
I mean, nah, that's a lie. I've seen you watch Hamilton like 3 times, personally.
But now it's getting worse in my old age, my older age.
Your old age?
Come on, old age.
No, I meant.
Don't disrespect Josh like that. Saying old
I meant older age. Like as I get older, it seems to be getting worse.
Buy me a rocking chair.
Like, I can't sit and watch movies. I have like, I get fixated on certain foods, and that's the only food I eat for days at a time.
Eat like goldfish, even though they taste like soap.
Yeah, and now I'm over it because I'm not here with a bag of goldfish today.
So we gotta ask your mom to test you if you had like a stroke or something.
No, he said it too. He said that it tastes like soap too.
Like soap, but
my aunt brought up a good point, and it could have been recalled. That like bag for that date could have been recalled, and I just didn't say anything.
And you let me eat them?
I'm fine. We're both fine.
You don't know that.
I had half that bag of goldfish that day.
I don't know. Ever since I had those goldfish, I just can't seem to sit down and watch movies.
No, it's been a while.
Someone at that factory like accidentally dropped like a bucket of like dish detergent. They were trying to clean that vat.
My dad and my brother have ADHD, so.
Oh, but the point that I was starting to make about Washington with that was then you go to places like the Lincoln Memorial, right? and you stand at the top of those steps, and you think to yourself, man, I'm standing in the same place.
The Rocky theme is playing as you walk up.
Well, that's Philly, I mean, I guess. But
it's just a lot of stairs.
I know, but my point is like, man, I'm standing in the same place where some of history's greatest speeches were given. Like, where some of history's most powerful men have stood. Like Martin Luther King. And like you look at it, and it kind of, and I'm not going to go into the rain. Yeah, I'll let that simmer for a second. But you look at it, and you think about how much change has happened in this country from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Also, side note, on my age, ADHD, like, then you go up to the foot of Lincoln and picture, like, this must be what an ant feels like next to humans.
Then you look at the Washington Monument and see that it's really nothing that impressive.
It's like a giant pencil.
I mean, I think building it at the time was impressive, but like looking at it now, it's like
it's literally made of two different kinds of brick.
It's boring to look at.
It is so boring. Like,
but at the time, I'm sure it was crazy. Like people were like, "You're gonna build that? You're nuts!" And like, "I'm gonna do it."
And there's an elevator. You can go to the top of it.
Yeah, I think it would have been cool to go inside of it. I didn't get to go inside of it.
I'm so good. I had desire to go into anything.
Do they let the public inside? Is that a thing?
No, there's an elevator. There's a window at the top of it.
Oh, I know. It was
like looks over.
Public accessible.
It's probably like a symbolic thing where it's like you go to the top of the Washington Monument and see what he created. Like, because you can, like, supposedly see, like, the whole of D.C. from the top of it.
Mm.
I want to get popular enough where I can go to the White House.
I've been to the White House.
Bite me. I haven't been to the White House.
It was part of my 8th grade trip. They have a room for every color of the rainbow.
Well, yeah, because you have to get sponsored by, like, your senator or something like that. So so the school probably sent a request to your congressman or Cicilline or somebody.
I think there's a program. I think there's like a student program.
Right.
I don't know. We didn't get to, like, the president was there, but like he was like on the top floor, so he wouldn't get in the way.
Keep kids away from me.
Yeah, literally. But
catching none of their cooties.
They have a portrait of every single president.
I think
All of us were making fun of Reagan's portrait because it's just ugly.
But he was the man.
Oh, he wasn't. Everyone says this.
Reagan was not the man.
No,
Reagan was a terrible person.
I'm talking about his economy was golden.
Yeah, but his morals were garbage.
If Reagan was still president, your TV shows would be on.
Oh my God.
If Reagan was Mom.
One of my friends
friends
from the school newspaper, like, this morning posted his list of like top 10 presidents, and on number 1, smack on the top of the list, was John Adams. I went off.
What's wrong with that man?
I was like, I had a list of like 17 things that was wrong with John Adams. I changed his mind real quick.
I mean,
that makes me think of that Hamilton song where the king comes in at the end.
John Adams. You know what I think about Hamilton when I think of John Adams? Not appropriate lines to say on there. Like, John Adams, you fat mother pea. That one?
Yeah.
Sierra, this is a family program.
I know, that's why I booped it. I could have said it. You had a button.
I know, but I'm too slow. I don't know. I haven't memorized where the button is yet. Oh, hold on. I got it. Wait.
I'm not gonna.
Don't say the word.
I'm not gonna say the word.
Wait, nope, that's not the right one.
It's one. I thought it was one of these.
Here we go. That went.
Did that work?
Probably.
They heard it. We
I just spilled so much tea, and you guys couldn't hear it.
Yeah, I know.
So going back to what I started to say about the Lincoln Memorial. So this is where I get a little frustrated now. Like I said, we could talk about the touristy stuff, and we could go back into that. Oh, also, Washington, D.C. was the trip where I got to experience for the first time ever a CiCi's Pizza, which was life-changing.
It gives Pizza Hut energy.
Yeah. CiCi's Pizza is good.
I think it's good. That's because they just make it on request. You can be like, hey, I want like an anchovies, pepperoni, pineapple pizza. And they're like, okay, here.
I mean, at the time, I was still fat, Josh, so I was able to enjoy it. And their regular pizza was okay, but their dessert pizza was like, it was bomb.
It's the pizza bar. Where
Yeah.
It's like take your own pizza slices. So good. It's like Pizza Hut, even though Pizza Hut doesn't do it anymore.
Because pizza is subpar. They know they couldn't keep up with CC's Pizza.
We don't have a CC's Pizza here.
I know.
Pizza, don't sleep on Pizza Hut like that. I'm
not sleeping on Pizza Hut,
I'm
but
such
I'm
a
just
Pizza
saying
Hut
it's not
girl.
better than CC's Pizza.
Last time I had CC's was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, so you can't. You're not fighting in this game.
Last time I had CC's Pizza was when I went to Washington, D.C. before COVID.
It was when I went to Washington, D.C. for the first time. I really, really, really wanted to go to Waffle House when we were in D.C. this time around. Really, I wanted to go so bad, but the closest one was like 40 miles away, and everyone said no.
Absolutely.
And Joey was also like, "You're gonna get us killed because everyone dies at Waffle House."
Like one person died at Waffle House.
He named like 4 people that died in Waffle House, and I was like, I thought Denny's was like catch you in the back of a Denny's. Like, I thought that was the one, but apparently Waffle House is where murders
There's definitely
happen.
a lot of fights in Waffle House.
I wanted to do it because of that Jonas Brothers song.
Then you're not going for the right reasons.
The food probably sucks.
It's all right. It's just like a
IHOP.
Yeah, IHOP with some.
It's like a Denny's.
Yeah.
I've never been. I don't think I've ever been to Denny's. If I have, I don't remember.
I don't know. I went to a Waffle House in Virginia. It's pretty good.
That goes so bad.
So, I started to bring up the Lincoln Memorial because
we keep interrupting Josh's point about the Lincoln Memorial.
And mostly for food-related topics.
It just keeps triggering.
This is what happens when we eat pizza.
Well, at least it was appropriately like set apart. I love how directly behind the statue it says, "In this temple, as in the hearts of the people, for whom he saved the Union, the memory of Abraham Lincoln is enshrined forever." Now, I'm sure Sierra can go off a little bit on this here as well, but
Go off, Sierra.
Maybe.
I mean, Abraham Lincoln. A little bit of controversy about the statement here. I mean,
Why?
you know, everybody loves him. I'm sure, yeah. But I mean, but there was a little bit of.
My favorite thing about the Lincoln Memorial is when you go outside the Lincoln Memorial. I think it's to the left if you're facing it. I think the bathrooms are also in there, and there's a little room where like breaks down like early history. And like you read things like that, like equal men and all this stuff, and then you go in this room and you read about how long it took for like certain peoples to get rights. And then it's like, yep, we'll give these people some rights until they complain again. Then we'll give them a little more rights. And then they complain again, and we'll give them a little more rights. But on the face of things, like we're gonna say all men are created equal, but like if some are 2/3 of men and women don't have rights.
The thing I admire about Abe Lincoln, though, is like he wasn't a hypocrite, right? He freed the slaves, and he didn't own any slaves. So it's like he wasn't a hypocrite.
I mean, that's up for debate.
And he was from Kentucky.
Well,
If he's from Kentucky, he owned slaves.
No, he didn't. His family didn't even own any.
I'm pretty certain that he was a slave owner.
No, look it up right now. I just did. He did not own any. He was among like 9 presidents, the old presidents that didn't own any. His family didn't own any, and then he didn't own any.
Let me see.
Did he use the indentured servitude title? Is that why? It's like, I don't have slaves, I have indentured servants. I'm just saying. Because back then, ain't no one paid for labor. Honest Abe. We'll see how honest he is.
Abraham Lincoln never owned slaves. Although he was born in Kentucky, where slavery was legal at the time, his family did not own any. At the age of 7, Abraham moved from his family to Indiana, a state where slavery was illegal. He lived in Indiana until he was 21, then moved to Illinois. Illinois was also not a legal state for slavery.
So you're saying he went to 3 states. He's like, nah, this slavery stuff's not for me. And you want me to believe that? I don't know.
I mean, obviously, like, it's impossible to say, like, to prove this, like, if he did or didn't or not. But, like, almost every other president documented having slaves, and this one guy just didn't have any documentation. It seems kind of... John Adams didn't own slaves either, but I still hate him.
I don't know. There's
Not for that reason.
There's an article. There's an article on OregonLive.com. I don't know how reputable this place is. That says that he did indeed, and it's an alt-right push that says that he didn't. But regardless of the fact, he was the man responsible for the freedom for freedom of slavery. But to my point, there were some really famous speeches that were given at the Lincoln Memorial. I mean, to stand there and be able to stand in the same places, the same place where people stood to give those speeches. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, think about it. To stand in the same place where historical moments were created, where the country would gather and real progress would be made. We just Meanwhile, at the same time, I'd be standing in that place taking in the awe, and some other dude would be sitting there eating a hot dog on the step.
There is a typo in the Lincoln Monument. I forgot what sentence it is, but I remember I've noticed it every time I've gone. There's a typo. Something is spelt wrong. Let me see if I can find it. I'm surprised you guys didn't know that. It's a pretty popular thing.
No, sometimes I think I just can't read, so I'm like, oh, that looks good.
Goes, a corrected typo can be seen on its walls. A worker who possibly grabbed the wrong stencil accidentally chiseled "future" instead of "future" when etching the words of Lincoln's second inaugural address into the memorial's north wall.
How do you mess up? How do you mess that up? I guess you just missed the F.
I'm just surprised it hasn't been fixed.
Well, no, you can't touch that. You gotta leave that as is. That's one of history's greatest mistakes.
That is. Future.
Future. As long as we know what he's talking about, we get it.
Had to be there.
It had to be there.
I don't know.
You imagine Lincoln's just looking, I don't know, up or down at us, wherever that man is. Looking at us how, you had one job.
I mean, you got to think when they finished, someone looked at that and you messed that up. And they went, we can't fix that now. We can't fix that. It's got to stay. So when it didn't look that bad, someone said that. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Now here's where I have my dilemma. So you have all these things that have taken place throughout time, and now we find ourselves in a time where we need some great speeches delivered. It'd be nice to have some people step up to the Lincoln Memorial and deliver some change speeches again. Because look,
well, y'all didn't like Obama, so he gave the best speeches of recent years. I'll say I'm not gonna put him up against every single president.
I liked Obama.
His speech. Say what you want, but his speeches were on point.
Michelle Obama also, because in the National History, the American History Museum, they have the first ladies, a lot of their dresses, that part of the museum. Michelle Obama had the prettiest one. I'll give it to her.
Man,
look,
you two are killing me. The man was articulate, but I wouldn't say his speeches were the best speeches.
Who do you say had the best speeches? Trump?
I'm not saying Trump had the best speeches neither, but I'm judging speeches by the content. Speeches that had change that made sense for a country. First of all, Michelle Obama had the biggest spending budget of any first lady in the history of the United States.
All I said about her was she had the best dress.
The dresses and all that stuff.
All I said about her. It was her inaugural dress.
Barack Obama and his speeches, he was very articulate. He was very charismatic. But, man, that dude's plans killing me, man.
We're talking about speeches, not plans.
Yeah, I said say what you want. His speeches were good. I'm not talking about policy. I'm just talking about speeches.
Man, I am mad at Michelle Obama because of her stupid meal plan.
And in terms of dropping the Trump name, yes, his speeches, although they were rough to listen to, I mean, our economy was solid. I wasn't paying a lot of money for gasoline. The housing market was fantastical.
That's all I can think of when I think of Trump is just.
That's cool. He was doing this, but it was fantastical.
And the duck lips that he has.
I made it fantastical. I said fantastical. I was able to buy eggs for cheap.
That man is as boring to listen to.
But it has nothing to do with speeches,
as a stale piece of bread. He's so boring.
And plus, he has roasting experience. He used to do all the roast and stuff, so he can jab with the best of them.
He was huge. He was huge. Guess what was huge with Donald Trump?
His
huge savings, huge economy.
His speeches were probably the funniest for sure. That man's a pure comedian. He went for the wrong thing.
I can only think of his mouth. It's literally the only thing that's there right now. Is that
His speeches were funny, which is
I mean, now we have Washington D.C. where it's like, yeah, we go there and we get to visit and we get to spend some time going through the museums and we see like all this great American ingenuity and all that stuff. But then like right down the street from where we're visiting, we see like the most corrupt nonsense taking place in the universe. I mean,
yeah, but that's a whole different issue with why inner cities are like that. But
the day that I got home from DC, or like the day after, there was this thing on the news about a possible shooting in Washington DC, and I was like, oh, I think it was a hoax though. But I remember watching the news and I was like, oh, well. I was just protecting the city. I belong there.
Look at our poor president. I feel bad for that dude. I can't believe his family be letting him be clowned like that. That dude barely walk, barely speak. He don't even know what day it is. He don't even know. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. He gets to the podium and he's trying to read something. I mean, like, then he has his aides trying to like walk him to and from it. I mean, poor Uncle Joe, man. Uncle Joe's just trying to live his life. He just, I say this, and I'm saying this not even to be funny. I'm saying this out of respect for the man. Like, what happened to respect? If I was that guy's kids and if I was that guy's wife, I'd be like, listen.
You want to be that guy's kids right now.
Why are you clowning my dad? Why are you clowning my husband? You know what I'm saying? Like, let this dude, poor guy.
Please leave alone, please.
Hunter Biden's too high.
I caught a piece of an interview not too long ago. The dude came out. It was like after a major catastrophe. The dude come out. He's talking about ice cream. You want some ice cream? Like they're like, no, you got to be serious. Oh, okay, this is the serious one. Okay,
that was later. Sorry.
I mean, we look at the situation we find ourselves in this country, and it's like, it's crazy. We go to Washington and you walk around and we see all these cool things from the Smithsonian and stuff like that. America has all this great past, and we find ourselves in this current climate. Whereas we're walking around the Smithsonian, we're walking around, the National Museum, we're walking around, the Vietnam Memorial Wall. We're walking around, we're seeing, the different things that it costs us to be where we're at. We're walking around and we're seeing like what's supposed to be the embodiment of the greatest free country in the world. And down the road, we see the Capitol building. For me, I saw it from outside the fence. Unlike Sarah, she got to go inside and see the rainbow rooms of the White House, where policy is trying to be dictated, where legislation is trying to be made. And we have the most corrupt people, trying to sway this government in a way where they're trying to slowly take away our liberties. They're taking away our abilities to be the free nation that we were once called to be. And to that I say, where are the people like Martin Luther King? Where are the people like those movers and shakers that used to come to the Abraham Lincoln Memorial and fill up the National Mall there with hundreds of thousands of people to talk about change, to talk about what getting this country back to where it once was, to talk about the things that matter, to talk about saying, you know what? We're tired of this. We're tired of the nonsense. It's just crazy. It's just crazy how something so beautiful can be so ugly inside. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Washington is a beautiful place. Look at all that history, like Sarah was just saying. And look at all the history that you find with our forefathers, right? Look at how you go and one of my favorite posts that you had when you were down there was from Georgetown, right? Like, look at all you walk down like these classic streets of Washington, and you see like all these things titled after George Washington this and John Adams that, and like all these the founding fathers places, and like all these classic historical monuments, and all these things built on the creators of what once was that beacon on a hill. And now you have these wolves inside government. And I'm not saying that they're one party or another. I'm saying it's on both sides, because we have people inside both parties that are slowly from the inside, like a cancer, rotting the core of this country. I mean, it's just unbelievable. That's why, like I said, we're going to talk about Washington, D.C., a.k.a. the swamp. I mean, you know, you ever see, we have a school here in East Providence that's built on wetlands. And they say that every year it drops, what, like an inch? You know? Like, you ever build something pretty on a swamp? I mean, yeah, it's pretty on the outside, but, you know, it's going to drop. There's problems, you know. We see that. We see that now. We see the problem we're having in our economy. We see the problem we've been having. And just look at interest rates. People want to buy a house. A house that they would buy a few years ago with low interest rates, they're paying a couple of grand more per month because they can't even buy down the points. I mean, we have problems. Oh, and then they're trying to peddle this save the planet stuff. Let's save the planet. Let's go electric vehicles. Have you seen what the batteries from these electric vehicles are doing to the earth? It's worse than what the oil's doing to the earth. Like, how do you dispose of an electric battery, electric car's batteries?
Throw it into the water.
So,
Throw it into the ocean.
or a landfill.
Right. I mean, you go online and they're like, oh, we're trying to save the planet. You ain't trying to save the planet. You're trying to save your pocket. Because let me put it to you straight. Somebody's making money on something. You know, we were talking about over the past few weeks how these places are trying to be woke, and they ain't trying to do nothing to help anybody out. They're trying to line their pockets. Disney's trying to make all their princesses, all these different nationalities, so they can be all inclusive. They ain't doing it to be inclusive. They're doing it so they can sell the same doll to every nationality and sell it a bunch of times, just making them money. Well, I'll tell you what about the government. They ain't trying to do nothing to be green. They ain't trying nothing to help the U.S. people. There's an agenda behind everything right now. And I know, Josh, you sound like a conspiracy nut. I'm not trying to sound like a conspiracy nut. I'm trying to give you something that's called common sense, all right? Because if you look at how, like, these electric cars, and I'm not saying anything against electric cars. You want to buy an electric car? This is the USA. Buy an electric car. You want to buy a gas-guzzling car with a Hemi? Buy the gas-guzzling car with a Hemi. I believe in your right to buy whatever you want. But let's call it for what it is. Don't tell me that these electric cars are being pushed because it's good for the environment. Tell me that the electric cars are being pushed because somebody wants to make a couple of dollars. Shoot, I drove a Ford Lightning the other day. I had the time of my life. It was a fun truck to drive. But am I going to tell you that I'm going to buy a Ford Lightning because I want to save the planet? Nah. I want to buy a Ford Lightning because it's getting too expensive to buy the gas, and because I like it.
It's funny you say that because what happened to, like, the housing market now happening to the car market, because no one's buying cars anymore, because when everyone had stimulus checks, they were buying cars they can't afford, and now that they're back to having their regular wages, the repo men are having a field day and taking back all the cars. So now all these dealerships are having a hard time. A lot of them aren't even selling new cars. They're just doing used cars. And so now what Elon Musk is doing, you know, taking advantage because he wants to line his pockets. I think he said he's taking $10,000 off the price of his highest and lowest trim in his cars. Because now everyone's going to flood and buy those cars.
I bet you've never seen so many Teslas as you've seen today. I haven't. I drive all day long. I have never seen so many Teslas on the road. Do you think these people are buying Teslas because they want to save the planet?
No.
Nah. They're cool. They do a little dance, all right? You push a button and the trunk opens by itself and the doors, things, and the lights flash. They don't care about no saving the planet. They care because Elon Musk made the Tesla cheap enough where they can buy it, and it's cool. Mm-hmm. You know, I like the Ford Lightning. I was able to drive it all day, and I barely used any battery. It was fun to drive. It was quiet. I sat there like a dummy for like 5 minutes waiting for the car to turn on. It was on the whole time because it doesn't make no noise because it don't have an engine like that. It was quick. And honestly, it had a huge screen, like the size of my screen in my living room. I'm a tech guy, so I thought that was cool. I liked it because it was fun. Did the thought of saving the planet come across our mind? No. But it was a cool truck, and you know what? The price of the truck came down. So am I thinking about leasing one next? And Aiden liked it. Aiden was like, Dad, this truck is cool. Aiden, did you think about saving the planet? No, he's not in his head. No, the truck was cool. It was like a 40-inch screen in the middle of the truck.
Aiden likes Lamborghinis. He does not care about saving the planet.
The only time I ever think about like cars and saving the planet is once I see like someone in front of me with a truck, then like the air out of their like exhaust is coming out black. That's the only time I ever think about it.
I think that's bad for me. You know, if I breathe, that's bad for me.
I just look at it like,
And here's, I'm an equal opportunist, and if that's the kind of car you want to buy, knock yourself out. I'm not going to sit here and sell you a bill of goods. But if you're going to sit here and tell me that you want to make it where we all have to have electric vehicles, that's what they're trying to push right now. They're saying all trucks need to be electric by, I think it's like 2035. Listen, you people in Washington, we are not stupid. Well, a lot of sheep are following you blindly, but there's some of us with our eyes wide open. If you're going to sit there and tell me that this is for the planet, listen, people, go on Google and Google what's happening to the places where they're digging up the batteries for these cars.
Everything's dying.
It's dying. It's worse than fracking. It's worse than what they're doing for the oil. Oh, oil is so bad. It's going to kill all the birds. Listen, what they're doing for these batteries is worse for everything. It's just killing everything around it.
Well, it's like the thing with the vegans. And if you're any vegans listening, I'm not trying to offend you, all right? I don't want to hear anything, but it's just, things that come out when they have these farms to make, vegan, vegetables really, but to have these things grown for vegans, they have to destroy everything in that land. So all those animals that live in that, naturally die because they go in there and they dig everything up and get rid of them. So these people are complaining about, oh, well, don't eat cows because you're being inhumane to an animal. When you're digging up, acres of land so you can have cruelty-free green beans, but you're destroying ecosystems and habitats of these animals, they don't think about that. Because at the end of the day, it's not really about saving the animals. It's about really their ego, so they can tell everyone that they're vegans and they're saving the planet. Same thing with a lot of people who drive electric cars. It's not because they care about the planet, and so they can say, oh, well, I'm driving the new Tesla. Oh, I got the new Tesla X. You don't have a Tesla. I drive a Tesla.
I don't think I have it in me to be able to sit and wait for my car to charge.
It's not even that bad, man. You leave it on overnight or whatever. I drove this truck all day. I used barely a quarter charge. And I'll tell you something else about planets and veganism and stuff like that. I went to Starbucks today, right? And I wanted to get a sandwich. I usually get the sausage, cheddar, and egg sandwich. So apparently the Starbucks at the end of the road was closed. So this Starbucks was sold out of everything. They didn't have my coffee. They didn't have my sandwich. They didn't have no sandwiches. So they were like, well, the only sandwich we got is the Impossible whatever sandwich.
Yuck.
So I'm looking, and I was hungry. I was ready to eat my own hat. So I was looking at the guy. I'm like, how impossible is that sandwich? Does it taste like a real sausage? He's like, it might taste close enough. And I'll tell you what, I didn't order it because I was a vegan. I ordered it because I was hungry.
It's for survival.
And I'll tell you what, it tasted close enough to the sausage. So if next time they don't have it, I'll probably order it again. Is it because I care about the animals? No, it's because I was hungry.
There was just a vegan influencer that died because she wasn't getting enough nutrients.
Malnutrition?
Yeah,
she from malnutrition?
Yeah,
that's wild. That's so
But
wild.
I think she was a vegan that only ate fruit and stuff like that.
I mean, again, I'm not knocking, do what you want to do with your eating habits, but they're doing I've seen a lot of before and after of people. I mean, it's recently, it's last couple of years of people who went from eating normal carnivore diet to strictly vegan diets, and just the weight that they lose is ridiculous. It can't be healthy. I feel the best I feel, but you look kind of sickly. Are you getting checked out with the doctor and make sure everything's really good? Because you lost 60 pounds. You already weighed 120 when you started. So, I mean, I don't know. If my thing is if it makes you happy, do it, but don't involve me. If you want to be a vegan, do it on your own time. If you want to drive your Tesla and save the planet, do it.
There was this girl on TikTok named the Vegan Teacher.
Oh, I love the Vegan Teacher.
I hate her.
And I sarcastically love her.
She got banned off of TikTok. She got banned off of TikTok because of she was just hating on people and she was saying inappropriate things about minors and it was just awful. And then she made a different account where all she does is sing about vegans.
Yeah, I've seen the singing ones. Those things are crazy.
It's so bad. But she's bad. She's if you're not a vegan, you're going to hell. If you're not a vegan, then you're evil and this and that. And everyone's just even vegans don't want her.
Yeah, she's giving vegans a bad name.
Aiden says she has a meat stick in her fridge. So, I mean, look, all I'm saying is this. It's just, there's a double standard. And here's what my problem is with the Washington establishment. Let's go back to your boy Obama, right? just for a minute. When they were trying to peddle Obamacare, okay, Nancy Pelosi at the time was the Speaker of the House, and they were interviewing her, and they were asking her about the Obamacare. And she was saying, of course, she was singing the party line. Oh, it's so great, da da da. Like socialized healthcare was so great. Yeah, it's so great that in every country that it's been implemented in, it's been an utter failure. Look at Canada. The Canadians, if they're in heart failure, they got to wait like 2 years for a surgeon. That's why you see all the Canadians coming to the U.S. if they have dual citizenship to get their health care. Any case, so they're interviewing Nancy Pelosi, and there was an interview that didn't get too popular because we have the media being run by a lot of these liberal outlets, and they asked her point blank. They said, "So will the members of Congress be enrolling in this healthcare plan?" And you could go ahead and fact check this. You can find it for yourself. I'll try to find an article and put it in with our episode. And she said no. She said, no, we will not be in the Obamacare system because Congress has a health care plan. Well, hey, wait a second. If it's good enough for you to try to force the whole country into Obamacare, why wouldn't you go into it for yourselves? It's only good for everybody else. Well, that's the problem I have with the Washington elite.
Yeah, I agree with you, but the way I look at things, I look at it a little from a different angle. Why was the point of Obamacare in the first place? Why would Obama need to come up with a plan for healthcare?
I thought it was for people that couldn't afford healthcare.
Yes, and there's a crazy amount of people in this country, regular Americans like you and me, no matter what you think about your fellow American, there are Americans in this country, a lot of them who don't have healthcare. The elites don't care because the elites, they can pay out of pocket. We might not care as much because we might have, good or decent health insurance. But for the people who don't have it because of whatever circumstance of life, they need something.
Well, let's roll this back for a second because what you're giving us is not the full picture. The original intent of Obamacare was to have socialized healthcare throughout the whole country. It was to put everybody in the same healthcare plan, destabilizing and eradicating the private healthcare market. What happened is that got swiped down because prior to Obama even coming into office, every state had its own private exchange, allowing for people to have state-run health care for those who couldn't afford it. In Rhode Island, we have Health Source RI. Massachusetts has their own version. Every state has a version of free health care for those who can't afford it. So, Obama wasn't changing something or adding something that wasn't already there for those who didn't have health care. Obamacare was originally intended for universal health care, which is the actual name for what he was trying to do. Something that was implemented in Greece and throughout Europe, something that's still implemented in Canada. If you look at it where it was implemented in other countries, though, again, it was an utter failure where other countries have since gotten rid of said programming and moved towards a U.S.-type privatized. Now, if they want to fix healthcare where people who can't afford it can get it, open up the exchanges so that people can compete, so that the healthcare plans can compete with each other to get competitive rates, so that the average person can afford to buy healthcare at a cheaper rate. Because that's the problem that they were having.
Right.
At the point that they were trying to argue this,
is the problem. We always have the two extremes, right? They have the privatized that can charge you at least charge the insurance companies a lot of money for insurance, which you have to pay a premium on. And then you have the opposite now. The president's trying to combat that with the more socialism type of universal health care. I think the problem with America a lot of times that we never want to meet in the middle, like you were talking about. You need the options. Something like people can think of how we can meet in the middle and make things work the best we can, but that's usually never the options that's given to the American people. I think that's the worst thing about our government currently.
All I can tell you is this. The Bible teaches us something that comes to mind every time I hear one of these politicians speaking. Galatians chapter 6, verse 7 and 8. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked, for whatever one sows, that will he also reap. For the one who sows to his own flesh will be from the flesh reap corruption. But the one who sows from the Spirit will reap eternal life. Listen, to all of you who are listening to me and you're like, Josh, you're putting out quite the dire picture. You know, don't worry about what this world is doing because it's going to continue to get worse and worse. Just focus on the promise that we have through Jesus Christ because that's what we're really in this for. I mean, you know, it's going to continue to be an uphill battle. I mean, and let's be honest, it's not going to get any better because we're getting to a time where things are quickly changing. I mean, I don't know. I went on my little rant. What else do you guys want to talk about Washington, D.C.? Sarah, what was your favorite part of your trip?
See, I love Washington, D.C. Oh, we saw Georgetown Law. That was fun because that's like one of my schools that I want to apply to when I go to law school. And we walked through the campus, and that was fun. The area it's in is kind of sketchy.
I mean, DC as a whole is sketchy.
Yeah.
When we stayed in a hotel. When I was telling you I was terrified to go outside to wait for like an Uber, man, I was terrified.
There were some sketchy alleys we had to pass by.
Nah, DC's a wild place.
It's like kind of scary. We were joking, and because we were talking about doing the Monument Walk, which we never actually did, and I was kind of pissed off about that, but whatever. I didn't speak up, so that's on me. But we were planning on doing it at night because it's a 5-mile walk, and it would be a little cooler. When it cooled off, it was cool, but and in the shade it was cool, but other than that, it was really hot. And my brother was like, "We're gonna do that at night. All of the homeless people are gonna be out, and that's scary." And I was like, "Oh no."
No, the homeless people will be sleeping. The crackheads though, they'll be out. They'd be out. But that's how you get the full DC experience.
Joey and Dominic wanted to go to this. It's basically the Maryland version of Thayer Street. I forgot what the street was called, but it had like a bunch of little stores and bars and like restaurants on it. So they were gonna go do that and experience the nightlife of like the Maryland DC area. And I guess like a few days before we got there, someone got stabbed on a soccer field there.
Yeah, that would definitely deter you.
They were still gonna go. I don't know why they didn't end up going, but it was nice though.
We went to a spot in DC like near the like. I don't know if that's the same spot they were going. It just depends. It's like any other, city. It has its good spots. It has its bad spots, and has the spots you should probably never set foot in. But it's a pretty city. The skyline is fantastic. The monuments and the museums, other than the few I didn't get to see, were great.
Moment of silence for Will.
Yeah. So we gotta go. We gotta go back. I gotta go back at some point. So I mean. We got to do a big trip, go to D.C., do the Monument Walk, and then go to the African American Museum, and I'm going straight home.
The food trucks there were really like my saving grace.
So good.
There because like everyone didn't want to like actually go and like sit down and eat and then walk in 100-degree weather for half an hour to the next museum. So we all just kind of stopped at a food truck. They're really expensive. Like I think I spent $22 on like 2 hot dogs and a drink, but unimportant. But they were so good because they were like bubble tea and like milkshakes and just cold drinks that you really wanted on that 100-degree day. So,
I think that DC can be done soon, only because if you want to tag along, I got some business to do down there, so I'm gonna have to go down there in the next 6 to 8 months.
I might try to get. So we had to like cancel this Virginia trip because of Justin's car, but we're probably gonna end up going again like after Christmas. I might convince him to go again.
There you go.
Sweet. I'll coordinate my business. So I only have to do like half a day of business there, but I'm sure we could turn it into like a 4-day business trip. You know what I'm saying? Stay at a nice hotel at the end of the Potomac.
I know what hotel not to stay at. I gotta remember where it was. So if there's anything in that area, don't stay there. Nice hotel.
Joey went for a concert a few months ago, and every time he saw something, he was like, "I went there when I came for my concert." I was like, "Okay, Joey."
The hotel I like to stay at is very nice. It is in a great locale. It's only like a 5-minute drive to.
Don't name drop. We're not giving you that.
I'm not gonna name drop.
We're not giving you it.
But so we'll have to, and maybe if we do go, maybe we could plan like an on location podcast.
There you go.
Live from. Listen, here, just a couple of thoughts I want to leave with y'all as we start wrapping this up. it's not hard to find beauty in things, and honestly, like, Washington D.C. is also an awesome place to visit, especially if you love the history. I loved going to the National Archives and seeing the founding documents of this country. I loved going to doing all the things that us nerds like to do. But we do live in a time where people get discouraged, and we don't know what to listen to. And it's in these times that we just turn to God's promises. Proverbs 10:9 says, "Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out." That's all we can do. Just walk in integrity. Keep your head held high. Try to live your life the way that God has called you to live it. I mean, unfortunately nowadays it's something that's hard to find. I mean, integrity is kind of like chivalry, right? Isn't that the way the saying goes? Chivalry is dead. Like, it's funny because, like, sometimes I go places and people look at me funny because I hold the door open for somebody behind me, and they're like, "Wait, you actually did that?"
That's not something you see in DC.
Everyone's in a hurry, Proverbs 12:22 says, "Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who act faithfully are His delight." I mean, I don't know about you, but I try to live my life in a way where I'm delightful to God. I mean, that should be our life's purpose, is to be a delight to God, to be pleasing to Him, to live our lives in a way that reflects who our Savior is, Romans 12:2 says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." I mean, we talk about that every week, the transformation that takes place when you accept the Lord Jesus Christ as your Savior, that conversion experience as you leave your old life and start anew with Jesus Christ, at the center of your life, I'm going to leave you with this last verse. Galatians 5:16-26, "But I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. For the desires of the flesh are against the Spirit, and the desires of the Spirit are against the flesh. For these are opposed to each other, to keep you from doing the things you want to do. But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are evident." Basically, what this continues on to say is that don't worry about these earthly things. Just be led by, walk by what the Spirit leads you to do. That means have a relationship with Jesus Christ and allow Him to guide you in these times where things can be a little bit crazy. The world is going to continue to become immoral. The world is going to continue to go down this path of craziness. But we serve a God who is perfect and has a plan and holds a future for you. It's tough. It's tough today, It's tough when you look around and you don't know what to hold on to. It's tough when you're kind of losing hope. But we have hope through Jesus Christ. We have hope through a Savior that has come to save the world through Jesus Christ, who died on that cross. Have you made a decision to follow Jesus? I mean, week after week we come and we talk about this decision that we have to make, where we have to choose whether we want to spend eternity in heaven or in hell. Have you decided to follow Jesus? I mean, have you listened to the sound of our voice week after week as we talk about all this craziness, as we go on these rants? This isn't like a Republican or a Democrat thing. This isn't a conservative or a liberal thing. This is a heaven or a hell thing. The only certainty in life is that we're all going to die at some point or another. We don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't have security in this world, but we do have security in our eternity. And that security only comes through Jesus Christ. Have you made that choice, that decision to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior? I encourage you today, for the Bible says in John 3:16, and I know I share this verse just about every week, that God loved this world so much that He sent His only Son, that whoever believes in Him shall not perish but have eternal life. Romans 3:23 says that we've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. But that's why He sent His Son, Because even though we've all sinned and even though we've all fallen short, he's given us an exit strategy. Make that choice. Accept Jesus Christ. Forget about all the craziness of this world, because this world is a temporary place. Forget about the insanity of this world, because this insanity is a temporary thing. But what you can hold on to is the permanent and the permanent promise that comes through what Jesus did for us on the cross. That salvation that comes for eternity. Make that choice today. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. I think this is the perfect time to kind of share this with you guys, our loyal listeners. We got a message last week, and actually, we're pretty psyched about it. The team was kind of spread out. I think I sent this while Sierra was still in D.C.
I was sitting in a food court in one of the museums with my father and Ethan, eating a little thing of pepperoni, crackers, and cheese.
So Feedspot.
Very specific.
Very specific.
Yeah. We got a message from Feedspot, which most people know. It's one of those big podcast sites. Feedspot ranked us in their top 60 Corinthians podcasts. So actually, we made spot number 23.
Good spot, Michael Jordan number.
Yeah. Considering we're a baby podcast, I was pretty souped about it. But we got a letter from one of their founders, who was very pleased to announce that we made the top 60 list in their Corinthians podcasts category. They have a blog that has a bunch of podcasts like ours, 60 of them to be exact, of course, it's the top 60, right? But we made it into slot number 23. I'm going to share the link to where we sit on the Feedspot Corinthians podcast billboard in our podcast notes with our articles from today. But I just want to say thank you, because the criteria for this was pretty cool. I mean, they said they basically ranked us on our content, but one of the things was based on follower accounts and profile links and clicks and all that. I don't know. Their panelists went through a bunch of stuff, and somehow this little podcast got picked. So I just want to take a second, and I know I speak on behalf of the whole team here when we say, hey, thank you for making this little podcast heard, I guess.
Yeah, 23rd.
Number
it's not
23.
too bad.
Only 20.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know how to respond to things like this.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
She's like overwhelmed with joy, I guess.
Thanks, I guess.
Thanks, guys.
I mean, we've only like 24 episodes in and already getting ranked. So that's pretty awesome. So to all you guys who support us and listen to us from week to week, it's our privilege to present the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's our privilege to kind of rant a little bit. It's kind of therapeutic, if you ask me. I mean, at least for me, it is.
It's very therapeutic.
We're waiting for Sierra to go on a big rant. I mean, I think she's working her way towards a rant.
I had my movie rant, so now it's your turn. Yet. Josh has a rant once an episode. I had my movie rant, so you got to pick your rant.
She'll get there. I think she's waiting for the right one. But there's going to be a time where there's going to be like this one thing that we're going to say, and it's going to pop her off. She's going to be like, ah. All right. Do you guys have anything else to conclude with?
No.
I think we're good.
Listen, I don't know if you find yourselves in the North Providence area, but if you do, North Providence around, come join us at Saving Grace Church on 1 Volturno Street in North Providence. We're there every Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. for our worship service. If you can't join us live in person, they can get us how, Sierra?
Sorry, I'm looking at the clowns off screen.
Stop distracting my co-host. She has a job to do. Rachel just walked in, and of course, she's already thrown us all off.
No pizza for you.
Find our live stream on Facebook or YouTube at Saving RI.
And if you want to join us live in person for our Bible workshop, you could also come into the same location at 9:30 a.m. Or Wednesday nights, we have our prayer and meditation time at the church. We have a word of encouragement, and we have prayer time together corporately at 6:30 p.m. So come check us out live. If you can't come to our church because you live too far, reach out to us. We'd love to set you up with a church in the area where you can plug in and get to know who Jesus Christ is as your personal Savior, and get that journey started off right. Hey, maybe you're listening to the sound of my voice today and you accepted the Lord Jesus Christ, or you want to accept the Lord Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Reach out to us. You just don't know how. You need some help. You want to talk to somebody about it. Reach out to us. We want to help you through that process. We want to help guide you as you make that decision. And we want to set you up with the Bible. We're here to listen. We're here to talk to you. We're here to work with you as you work your way through making that decision. It's the best one you'll ever make. So that's it for this week. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And you know what? Thank you so much again. Thank you for all your support as we build our little podcast. Tune in next week. It's going to be episode 25. We are going to have a blast. You'll get to know your hosts a little bit better as we dive into the scary minds of your hosts here on Temporary Insanity. I think insanity is going to be the key word of next week's episode. So God bless you all. We love you. We appreciate you. See you next week.
Bye.
Peace.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. New episodes drop every Friday at noon. Have a question about our faith or the insane times we live in? Go to our website, www.temporaryInsanitypodcast.com, and record a voice message. It may end up on our show. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and our YouTube channel at Temporary Insanity Podcast.